So, Kal Kadosh, Erev Tov. We are doing the Mishmar tonight. It's going to be a Ramban, Nachmanides on Parashat Vayigash. Everyone knows what Vayigash is. Parashat Vayigash, this week's Parashat. He's going to speak about, number one, the purity, the pureness of the actions of Yosef Hatzadik in Mitzrayim, before he was appointed to become viceroy. It says over here, Yeduim Divrei Chazal, to do with the Tviyah against Yosef Hatzadik, when the Sara Mashkim, when the ministering angel came. Well, this is talking about the butler. And he told them, Kim Zechatani Kartani, that he reminded him twice to Paro. And on the other hand, in this week's, and then afterwards, when he comes and he says, you have to come, you have to get a smart guy, you have to do all these things. All of a sudden, he was doing that in order that they should choose him to do it. And 1 second, why wasn't he put in trouble because of that? Everyone understood the question. One more time. Hashem comes and he punishes him for another 2 years in prison. Why? Because he went and he told the butler after deciphering the dream, by the way, remember me to Paro. Yeah, remember, like wink, wink. Yeah, tell Paro, I'm here. He got punished. All of a sudden, he's taken out of jail. He goes to Paro. He deciphers the dream. And now he comes and he tells Paro, by the way, you need a good accountant. That he's going to do this. And he's going to do that. And he's going to do this. And Paro comes and he says, 1 second. You're the best man for the job. Thank you very much. I take the job. Why wasn't he punished there? What's the difference between one place and another place? That's the question of the Ramban. 1 second.
What is the question?
1 second. 1 second. 1 second. The difference between the two places. Okay? Next, we're going to see it one by one, right? I'm just giving you over an overview. Next, Tara Ma'asav of Yosef Hatzadik, we're going to learn also from the wife of Potiphar when he comes out of the pit in front of Paro. Number two, we're going to speak about the cleanliness of his hands of Yosef Hatzadik, right? When he was the Mishneh LaMelech. What does that mean? Right? He comes in all his actions. When they come when he's going to come and he's going to give parnasah to his father and brothers, he tells them, you guys have to come to Egypt. He doesn't give them parnasah in their home. Meaning, you guys want me to support you, you have to move to Egypt. I cannot support you, and you guys are living abroad. Yeah, are you guys listening? Number one. Number two, right? When Paro knew that if he didn't command, right? If he didn't command Yosef to give food to the father and brothers, he wouldn't have done it without his permission. Meaning, Paro knew that Yosef was so trustworthy, if he wouldn't have given him the permission to give the food to the father and the brothers, to his own father and brothers, Yosef wouldn't have given them food. Paro knows that. It's incredible. Number three, when Kasher Natan Lavivu Banav, Achuza b'metav eretz Yisrael b'shut Paro, when he's giving over a piece of land to Yaakov and his children, it was given in Goshen, it was given with the permission of Paro. Again, everything is with Paro. Number three, Yosef Hatzadik was Ish Emunim. What does it mean, Ish Emunim? He was a person that was very trustworthy, right? So, Masechet Nikayom V'Kaperah, he comes and he says, it's Ish Emunim. Number four, Tarat HaMasiv Yosef Hatzadik, when he comes and he speaks to the brothers and he speaks to his father, it says Yosef appears to his father. Why does it say Yosef appears to the father? He says he only went to his father to make his father happy, not because he wanted to see his father. Meaning you would have thought to say, listen, this is a child. He hasn't seen his father for so many years. He wants to go visit his father. No. The only reason why he went to his father was to make his father happy, not to make himself because he was, gaguim, he was, lonely, or that he wanted to see his father. More than that, when Yosef comes and he sees the brothers, he's richem alehem. He has mercy on them in order that his heart should be clean. Why? Because he came and he had to speak with them harshly. Meaning you have to remember that Yosef here had to speak very harshly to the brothers, right? And there's a whole thing there about why exactly, but that's something else. Next, number 5, Shoresh Tarat Ma'asav of Yosef Hatzadik in the actions of Yaakov Avinu and Rachel Imen. What does that mean? Yaakov Avinu, he wanted to divorce Leah. Why? Only because she cheated her sister. She cheated her sister.
At the beginning.
Meaning Leah cheated.
No?
Yeah, the beginning. Right? Rachel Imenu, right? She kept quiet. She didn't go after her instincts, but rather she went and she thought with her brain, no. You're not supposed to do that. Number 6, we're going to speak about the concept of midot, about how important are midot and where do they come from, right? And that's what it says here, Yesharim derechei Hashem tzadikim yilchu b'avashim kol. What is the hashkafa b'maaseh resha or sabah? And then the last one is going to be that we have to understand that even the smallest action has a huge impact. Okay, very important. So this is what we're going to speak about tonight. So he comes now and he says like this, yeah? Yosef Hatzadik, this is mitzvah number 1. Tarat ma'asav of Yosef Hatzadik in Mitzrayim before, right? He comes before he was made into viceroy. Okay, it's known. Chazal come and they say that when it says that he was going to be punished. Okay, so he comes and he says like this. Look at Midrash Rabbah. Everyone has it. Midrash Rabbah. You know what that is, Rami? You know? Yeah, Midrash Rabbah. So over here on the right side, Midrash Rabbah. Fortunate is a man that he places his bitachon in Hashem. And he doesn't place his emunah in falsehood. Because he said to the Sarah Mashkim, 2 extra years in jail. Right? Now it says, now Yosef Hatzadik is coming and saying, look, Paro, you need to get a Navom V'Chacham. Yeah? He comes and he says, Yere Paro ish Navom V'Chacham, Amar lo shitztarech li ish Navom V'Chacham, שיהיה ממונה על כל הארץ, ויפקד על פקידים תחתיו שילכו בארץ, ואמר לו שיהיה נבון וחכם. נבון, what is navon exactly? Navon means a novice, somebody that knows. What does that mean? שידע לנהל עם ארץ מצרים בלחם לפי הטף מידו. He knows how to be like an accountant. He knows how to budget, right? How to put the proportions. And then he's going to sell everything else, right, to the other places. And then Paro is going to become rich. וחכם, שידע לקיים התבואה שלא תרקב. That he's wise, that he knows how to store it, that it's not going to get ruined. Right? Every single species according to its nature. For example, the chumtin, והכס וחי במית הקדימה, ואמרו בראשית רבה, right? ואמר יוסף, כל זה בעבור שיבחרו אותו, כי החכם עיניו בראשו. He says, why did Yosef Hatzadik say all this? In order that they should choose him. Meaning, when Yosef is already in front of Paro, he's giving him a sales pitch. He's trying to tell him, choose me. That's what the Ramban says. Nachmanadis. We're not talking about you and me. Sort of Simcha Zisel Broida, Rosh Yeshivat Hebron. Listen to this. Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron. He comes and he asks the following question. He says, in Parashat Pitron HaChalomot, you could see when he's deciphering the dreams, look at what it is, Yosef Hatzadik. That he comes and he says, he's only doing it for himself. So now we have something incredible. Mitzad echad, he comes and he says, he tells the butler to remember, and he gets punished, right? And why? Because Mamash was like, it's ishtadlut. No, you have to come and you have to, he's being punished. And then on the other side, he's going to be, there's no punishment here, right? So he comes and he says like this. He says, וחטאו של יוסף בזה שהשתדל יותר מדי, היה רק חטא בלשונו, שצורת ביטוי שכזו לא מתאימה על יוסף הצדיק. Meaning like this, you know what the mistake was? The use of his words, the terminology, right? Nat said the words, but obviously you have to extract it, right? What does that mean? Yosef went and he used a terminology, right? Remember me. Right? Mention me. That is what's called a choser and bitachon. If you're going to come and you're going to say to somebody, remember me, or mention this, that's a choser and bitachon. So he says, lo yara'ui, right? Shavur kol milah nidon l'shana nosefet. So therefore you see it was only bitui lashon. But mitzad sheni, when he comes and he says, yere faro ish namon v'chacham, hayu nikiyim mikol rava v'shemet shel chet, meaning that here he's doing his ishtadlut, and his ishtadlut is saying, listen, you have to get an ish chacham v'navon. Now, Paro's going to understand that obviously the Ish Chacham and Avod is right in front of me, because besides the deciphering of the dream, he's coming and he's giving me the tactics. Remember, to decipher a dream, everybody could do, right? But remember, the thermostat and thermometer, to say that there's problems, everybody knows that it says there's problems. Right? That's when we come and we got a box, problems, right? Complaints, But to fix problem, give me an answer, give me how to come and to decipher it. That's much more difficult. You understand? Right? To see problems, everyone can see problems. You come into a country, this is the problem A, B, C, D. No, but tell me now how to solve the problem. That's much more difficult. Okay? One second. Okay, is it completely? So now it says, "Vatitpaseu bevigdo lemor shichva imi." Do you know the wife of Potiphar? She grabbed him. And she says, "V'yazdo bigdo." He left the jacket behind. She grabbed him. He left the jacket and he ran. So says the Ramban, why did he leave it in her hands? That's the worst thing that you could do. You are going to be caught in the act. You're leaving your evidence there. You know how it is when the government wants to plant something, right? It happens it happens every single day. Yeah, he comes and he says, answers the Ramban. Look at the Ramban. Says the Ramban, lichvod givirto. He respected the mistress. He respected the husband's, basically her master's wife so much. For the geveret, lo ratza leotzia miyado bekocho hagadol mimena ve'asira oto me'alav. Right? Why? Because at the end of the day, because of the kavod to her. So he comes and he says something incredible. Do you know what it is? She's coming and she's going to use it to fabricate against him that he did A, B, C. He had in mind the clearness of the mind. I'm not going to grab it away from her and run. He left it. Why? I cannot do that. He just ran away. That's it. Parasha Miketz, it says, "Vayishlach paro vayikra et Yosef v'yitzuu min habor, vayigalach vayichalef simnotav." What happened was, they take him out of jail, they give him a haircut, and now he's going to change clothing, and he's going to do paro. Says Rashi, "Vayigalach mipnei kavod hamalchut." He didn't do it because of himself. He only did it. He's going in front of a king. You're going in front of a king. You have to come nicely dressed. So he came, took a haircut. He comes and he's going to nicely dress himself and everything else. Okay? Okay? Now the Sham Derech comes and he says the same thing. He says, Kvod Gvirato, and he comes and he says like this. He says, 1 second. He's explaining the Ramban and he's saying, who is stronger, Yosef or the wife of Potiphar? Obviously Yosef. But he says he could have grabbed it. And he said it would have been better to grab it because he's putting himself in a sakana. He didn't do so because of the kavod to her. So he says, look at the shlemut of the maasim. Look how smart is Yosef that he's coming and he's saying, shum negiyut, ishut, like nothing whatsoever. Which one? Yeah? Comes shum negiyot, ishut, right? Tzrachim atzmiim. Nothing was going in front of Paro, which means that no matter how much of a makom gadol and everything, he doesn't care that he's going in front. All he's doing is because of Kvod HaMalchut. Yeah? Over there. Yeah? Biram, however though, Chazal למדו שמול עיניו של יוסף, עמד אך ורק הקיום הצרוף של הלכה המחייב ומחויבת לנהוג בכבוד המלכות, which means the only thing that stood in front of Yosef Hatzadik was you have to give kavod to the malchut. Okay, that's the only thing. Nikayon kapav המושלם של יוסף הצדיק is he comes and he says like this. Look at this one. The first, are you listening? The first one is when the father and the brothers, they go up. Vayomer Paro el Yosef. Says Paro to Yosef, tell your brothers, Zot asu, do this. Ta'anu b'idechem. Go and fill your, right, at b'idechem. Come and fill up your donkeys. You're going to take your father and their houses and they're going to come to us. And I'm going to give them the land of Eretz Yitzrayim. And you're going to eat from the best of the land. This is what you have to command them to do. What does the Ramban say? The Ramban says, Penti V'resh, he comes and he says like this. He comes and he says, Ki yachshedu oti shani mochro sham la'asor li sham otzo kesef v'lashuv v'latziv v'nati. What does that mean? He comes and he tells the brothers like this. He says, you guys have to come and you guys have to come here. Why? Listen to this. Listen to how clean and how different it is nowadays and the olden days. Nowadays, everything is covered up for who they want to cover up for. So if they want to all of a sudden take a laptop and cover up evidence, they know exactly how to do it. Yeah, and they'll cover up all social media, making sure that nothing ever gets out before any election. And then what happens? Yosef Hatzadik does the exact opposite. Says Yosef Hatzadik to the brothers, you guys should know that you guys are going to go over there and you guys have to bring everything here. Because if I'm going to send my support outside of Egypt, they're going to suspect me that I'm hoarding money in Switzerland, right? That I've got all my money outside, just like the majority of these people do. So therefore comes Yosef Hatzadik and he tells his brothers, I cannot do that, right? You have to make sure that you guys are coming here. I cannot send you money out there. Because if not, you could think to yourself, listen, Yaakov Avinu could come with the brothers and say, listen, Yosef, you're the ruler there. We don't want to go to an Eretz Yisrael. We're happy where we are. We stay here. You stay there. Send us checks every single month, right, with money. Yeah, that's what we could have said. Says Yosef, I can't do that. Why? Because of this. Mefurash, it's a Ramban. Ramban says that. וזה חוכמה, it's not only חוכמה.
היום הרבה נופלים בזה.
מה הרבה? כולם נופלים בזה. Anyone that's in power. Yeah, so he comes and he says, look what's going on. So he comes and he says, right? שם לעשות שם אוצרות כסף ולשוב לציונתי. ואוכם וידעו כי אתם אבל. Now when you guys are going to come here and they're going to know that you guys are my father and my brothers and everything, then the Melech is going to give you the reshut to do so. So now he comes and he says, פן תברש אתה וביתך וכל השלח. Look in the Ramban here. The Ramban says, אמר הדבר בצוואה לו, מדעתו מוסר יוסף, כי איננו שולח יד בעון המלך, ולא ידע איתו מאומה. על כן חשב פרעה, אולי לא ירצה לשלוח לאביו דבר, על כן אמר לו, אני מצווה אותך, שתעשה את זאת על כל פנים. Did you realize, Paro has to come, and he has to command him, right, to come and to give to his father and brother the things. Why is he commanding him to come and give to his father and the brother the things? Why is it to command him? You know why he has to command him? Because if he didn't command him, Yosef wouldn't have done it. Meaning, here Paro has to tell Yosef, give your father and your brothers food. Because if not, he wouldn't have given them anything. He was so clean, he would have done nothing. He wouldn't have given to them. That's what he says over here.
So why he told them to come?
No, but that's what he's saying. That's why Paro already knew. Paro knew Yosef that if he wasn't going to come and tell him, he wouldn't have given him anything. So therefore, that's what happened. Okay? So he comes and he says, right now it's false. Okay? Now he comes and he says like this. Midato moser Yosef, right? He doesn't come and he doesn't touch anything. Okay? ויאמר פרעה אל יוסף לאמור אביך ואחיך באו אליך. So Paro comes and he tells Yosef, listen, your father and your brothers, they came here. Eretz Mitzrayim, they could take whatever they want. They can live wherever they want. You know what? Put them in Goshen. Yeah, in the best of the land. So it says here, the Ramban, Re'eh sheta'asi ima'em tova, ki alecha adavar v'yesh le'el yadecha. What does that mean? He comes and he says that Kiru, Paro says, I heard that your brother and your brothers and your father came. Give them the land of Goshen. Because it wasn't Yosef that came and he did it on his own. Think about it. Technically speaking, Yosef, he was a viceroy. He could have done whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. He didn't do that. He went and he actually waited, right, in order for him to do it. Okay? So now he comes and he says like this. Okay? He comes and he says, he gave them the land. So he comes and he says it's with the reshut of Paro. Again, every single time the Ramban keeps on saying that it was with the permission of Paro. Now the Ramban comes and he says, Yosef was an ish emunim. How do we see this? So Yosef Hatzadik comes and he gathers all the money. All the money, and he goes to the house of Paro. So it says, it says over here like this. It says, everyone knew that he was an ish emunim, that he brought all the money. He didn't make any hiding places, nothing. He gave to the king, Abuteach bo, kol kesef. The kanalo et adama, gama gufot, everything. ומצא בזה חן גם כן בעיני העם, כי השם הוא המצליח את יראיו. Hashem is the one that gives הצלחה to the people that fear him. So therefore, the fact that Yosef didn't come and start hoarding money, that's what made him actually rich. That's what made him with such a good name. And that's what made him have all these things. So the Sham Derech comes again. This is the Rosh Shiva of Hebron. And he says, יש להוסיף לראות בחינה זו של איש אמונים, נאמנות בלתי מסוגלת לשמירת תוכנית הצלת מצרים משנת הרעב. He comes and he says, you could see that this person came from the beginning. Yeah, Shechian. Yeah, and he says, right, that you could see how he was actually coming and saving the land of Egypt, just like it says over there. Now he comes and he says, "Ubemet ze pele gadol, ketzad ish zar, evet lelo shem umishpacha, haba mitachtit bet ha'asurim, hitzriach limtzor chen b'nei ha'mitzrim." How does that make sense?
Because Hashem
You got a person, he's a slave, in jail, getting out of jail, being loved by all the Egyptians, something not known. And he's saving the country. Right? Mamash, he's saving the country. Right? So therefore he comes and he says, look what it is. So he says, כי היה דבר להם לחרפה, שימשול בהם איש נוכרי, עבד מבית האסורים יצא למלוך. He says, think about it. How could it be, right, that all of a sudden now you have a person that it's a disgrace to them? Imagine I'm going to tell you the next president, right, is going to be some guy that he was just in jail. Yeah,
Obama came from nowhere, small grass.
Yeah,
and you
so what happens? Yeah. It's going to be a problem. Right? You're going to start thinking, what's going on?
That's true.
Yeah.
You have to know the limit.
The limit of Obama.
You're being recorded. Right? היה דבר לחרפה שימשול בהם איש נוכרי. So he says, what's going to happen now? So he says, אין זה אלא כפי שסיים הרמב"ן, כי השם הוא המצליח את יראיו. Hashem is the one that gives the הצלחה. So therefore it was a siyata dishmaya from HaKadosh Baruch Hu because of ma'alotah b'chokhmah v'tevunah v'dat, and that's why because he was an ish emunim. Everything was 100% clean. Okay? Next. Parasha Vayigash. Vayesod Yosef mekatov v'yal likrat Yisrael v'yi goshna v'yira elav. So all of a sudden he comes and he's going to see his father. So he comes, he gets onto the chariot and he's going to see his father. He comes and they start crying on each other's necks. Right? Vayipolo tzavarav vayef.
Ramban says Yosef cried, not
We're going to see now. Vayef kal tzavarav od. Right. So he comes and he says like this. Vayira elav Yosef. Nir'eh elaviv vayef kal tzavarav od. Lashon arbaya bechya means that he was crying even more. But Yaakov didn't fall on the tzavar of Yosef ben Ovlon. He didn't even kiss him. Why not? He was in the middle of Kriyat Shema. Lashon Rashi. Velo yadati tam vayira elav ki biyadua right shenitra'u kasher. We already know that he saw him because he fell on his neck. Ve'od ki enenu derech kavod sheipol Yosef al tzavarei aviv. It's not the kavod that he's going to fall on the neck of his father. Aval shishtachaveh lo. He should at least bow down to him, or he should kiss his hands. As it says, he should have bowed down to him. What's going on now? So what's going on? What's proper in my eyes? Israel, right? Yaakov Avinu, he couldn't see already. And when Yosef came במרכבת המשנה, ועל פניו, right, המצנפת, כדרך מלכי מצרים, לא היה ניכר לאביו וגם אחיו, nobody recognized him.
I wasn't sure it was.
No, they couldn't recognize him. He had the entire, the gown, this. They did. לפיכך הזכיר הכתוב, כאשר נתראה אל אביו, therefore it says, when he showed himself to his father, שהביט בו, והכירו, and he recognized him, נפל אביו על צווארו, בכה עליו עוד. He started crying more. כאשר יבכה עליו תמיד עד היום הזה, כשלא ראו, as if that he never saw him. And then afterwards he says, אמות הפעם אחרי רותם. What does that mean? דבר ידוע הוא, מדמעתו מצויה, אם האב הזקן המוציא בנו חי לאחר האיש והאבל, או הבן הבכור המולך, ואל תחוש בעבור אומרו ויאמר לישראל, כי ממנו ידבר ויחזור ויזכיר שמו, וכן ויקבוץ לכל אוכל 7 שנים ולא יהודה שלמנים, וכן מקרא טובים ותורה מקרא. Means like this. Who do you think is going to cry more? A father that has been crying for his son, not accepting condolences for years after years, finally seeing his son after 22 years of thinking that he's dead, or the son that now he's the king? You're right, he suffered a lot in the past, but now he's a ruler.
The father.
Now, obviously, it's the father. So therefore, that's what he's saying here, right?
He knew he was the line.
Fine.
And he knew he was the line.
He didn't know. Again, it was subconscious. He didn't know it was
No, he's saying that you said that.
Shlemut Maaseh, Sichot Musar. Yeah, what does it mean now, the Sichot Musar? Who's the Sichot Musar? Rav Chaim Shmulevitz. Says Rav Chaim Shmulevitz. Vayesod Yosef Merkavto. Vayal Likrat Yisrael Aviv Goshna. Vayera Elav Yipolot Tzavarav. What does it mean? Yosef Nidai Laviv. So Yosef appeared to his father. So we have to understand, what does it mean Vayera Elav? What does it mean? It's extra. What do you mean he appeared to him? Obviously he appeared to him. So he says like this. We're going to see. First, he wanted to see his father. He didn't see him for so many years. And just like he says, his father loved him. Rabbi so too Yosef loved his father. Right? You love someone, they love you back. Obviously. So he says, and just like Rashi says, but he comes and he says, but Yosef knew how much he was suffering, right? But the son knew how much he was loved, and he understood how much was the simcha that the father is going to happen. He says, he says, he did actually came. He says, look, my son's alive. But he comes and he says, what does it mean? He says, even though he wanted so much to see his father, and that was at a tom kasher, it's kosher, you're allowed to do that. Nevertheless, he controlled himself. And when he went to his father, he only had one will. And the will was to show himself to the father, so his father's happy. It wasn't for him. It was for his father. It wasn't for him. Okay, that's what he comes. It's something incredible. So he says, what does it mean, shlemut maaseh? You have to do things 100% l'shem shamayim. Because if a person comes and he does a mitzvah, and the kavanah is not 100% pure, and he's taking for himself, he says it's not as big. It's actually very. Therefore, Yosef Hatzadik came and he humbled himself that he was doing it for one reason only, for his father, not for him. What's also a proof that he did it for his father, not for him? He didn't visit his father for the next years until the father passed away. How old was Yosef? How old was Yosef when he came in front of Paro?
30 years.
30 years old. Yeah. How old was he when his father came down?
No, 42.
He was 7 years and 2 years. It's 39. 39, correct? He became king. 7 years of abundance, 2 years of famine, and the father came down. 39, correct? Okay, very good. How old was Yaakov Avinu when he passed away?
147.
147. How old was he when he came in front of Paro?
17 years before.
How much is that?
130.
130. 130. That means he comes in front of Paro. When he comes in front, Yosef Hatzadik comes into his father at the age of 130, right? For so many years that he didn't see him, right? He comes, Shalom, they kiss, everything that you want. And then for the next 17 years, he basically doesn't see him until he's going to die. Until he's going to die. We're going to see. Yeah? So that's a proof. Sichot Musar. Yeah, he comes and he says like this. We already mentioned this many times. The reason why is because he didn't want to tell his father what happened.
He didn't
want to have the interaction, right? Because his father didn't know. How's the father going to know? The father didn't know. Huh?
It's frozen. It's still frozen.
So now it says, when you're going to think about Hanagat Yosef, he actually had mercy on the brothers. He says, why exactly? He says, why did he then have to speak so harshly? That they should understand their sin and do teshuvah shlema. But he says, mikol makom, the nature is that he's still going to have nekama, so he wanted to be clean of nekama. You understand what happened? Yosef Hatzadik, vengeance, revenge. Yosef Hatzadik, maybe you're going to say, listen, he wanted to get back. He wanted to make it even. How do you make it even? You come and you say, they treated me like this. I'm gonna show them. He says that's nekama. So he wanted to make it the exact opposite of nekama. He wanted to show that he was so clean that he actually cleansed himself, that he's doing it only, he had to put on a show, that he's speaking to them harshly, just that way they recognize the sin. By the way, I actually have it on Shabbat. Beautiful Dvar Torah. Something incredible. That the entire purpose why he made them. What did he first tell them? You guys are what? Spies. Why did he do that? Because that's what they accused him. They accused him of being a spying and telling the father A, B, C, D. You remember? So because of that, he did it to them. What was the second thing? He went and he sold them for money. So what happened? Right? He went and he put the money in the sacks. And all of a sudden, they come, they take out the money. They say, hey, why is God doing this to us about the money? What do we do? Right? Where do we learn that? What did God do to us? Right? Tanit. Yeah. So what happens? So we comes and he says, right, Rabbi Yochanan, you remember? It was his nephew.
Sin, and after they said,
And that's what they said, they sin, and after they say, oh, what did God do to us? Well, open up your eyes. You see it. But that's why he did that. Why was they sin with the money? They accepted money for the sale. Yosef Hatzadik puts the money there. All of a sudden they come and say, hey, something's wrong here. What do we do? What do we do? And every single thing was mamash to open up their eyes. Everything was to open up their eyes in order to understand what's going on. Okay? So now he comes and he says,
why he was saying the Kiryat Shema?
Now he says like this. Vine, all the things that we just mentioned now, when he says, he comes and he says, once he started doing all these things to beautify himself, that's when immediately the wife of Potiphar came and jumped on him. So he says, he comes and he says like this. What exactly are we referring to? He comes and he says that when a person comes and there's going to be doing and he's taking for himself, that's when he's going to be punished. Fine. Next. The Shoresh Tarat Ma'asav comes from Yaakov and Rachel. Listen carefully. Vayar Hashem ki sinua Leah. Hashem sees that Leah was hated. Vayiftach et Rachma. He opened up her womb, Rachel akara, and she was akara. Says the Ramban, ki sinua Leah, hine Leah rimta ba'achota gam b'Yaakov. She tricked her sister and also Yaakov. So he says, וכך אמרו בבראשית רבה, כיוון שראה יעקב מעשים שרימתה לאה באחותה, נתן דתו לגרשה. Because she tricked her sister, Yaakov wanted to divorce her. Right? She tricked her sister. She tricked her sister also. That's what he's saying. No. But again, he didn't know that. But he went, fine, that was what we know. But Yaakov Avinu doesn't know that. Yaakov comes and he says, she's tricking her sister. I don't want anything to do it. He was going to divorce her. What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu made her become pregnant. The second that she was pregnant, he comes what? The mother of this one I'm going to divorce. And that's why he says, Vayar Elokim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu went and he saw that he had mercy on her. So because he had mercy on her, that's why she became pregnant. Now here, yeah. Now he says another diuk nifla, which is brought down in the Ramban. One second, why is it only in the sister? What he also did it to herself, to him. She tricked him. Not only Gam Yaakov. So he says, according to the Gadlut of Yaakov Avinu and the Shlemut right Nikiyut of Maasav, he didn't look at his own. He only looked Shrimta et Achota. Meaning for Yaakov Avinu, he doesn't care about himself. He cared about, she tricked her sister. But she tricked you as well. What does he care about himself? She tricked her sister. He doesn't want to be married with her. But he tricked him. Right?
He doesn't want to marry her again.
No, he wants to divorce Leah. Yeah? ויזכור אלוקים את רחל וישמע אליה ויפתח את רחמה. מדרש תנחומא said. Right? Exactly. No. לא לאה רימתה. ומודה אמר רבי יהודה, גדולה שתיקה. What does it mean, גדולה שתיקה? What does it mean now? Look how great is the keeping quiet. He says, בזכות שתיקתה של רחל, from the fact that Rachel kept quiet, זכתה והעמידה שני שבטים בישראל. She had two tribes in Israel, Ephraim and Menashe, more than everybody else. למה שתקה? Why did she keep quiet? אמר רבי שמעון בר יוחאי, אמרה, אם משלחת אני מודה ליעקב שאבא נותן לאחותי משהו בשלח לי, אינו נוטל אותו. ואבא אמסייני לו ואני מתרחקת מן הגוף הצדיק הזה. אמר לה הקדוש ברוך הוא, את שתקת, חייך בזכות אותה שתיקה אני זוכרך, שנאמר, ויזכור אלוהים את רחל. Which means something incredible. Did you just hear the Midrash Tanchuma one more time? The Midrash Tanchuma says, really be'emet, Rachel was barren. She was sterile. She couldn't have children. So she's barren, right? How's she going to come and how's she going to have children at all? If she would have got married to Yaakov at the beginning, she wouldn't have had children. So why did she have children? Only because she shatka. Only because she kept quiet. Only because she kept quiet. She didn't say anything. She was zocheh to Ephraim and Menashe, right? And the other two shvatim, even more than everybody else, right? More than the other shvatim. Lama shatka says, if I'm going to come and I'm going to tell Yaakov Avinu that my father wants to come and give my sister instead of me, he's not going to take him. Right? She's not going to take him. The Abba said that my father won't get me married off to Yaakov, and then I'm not going to get anything. So it comes like who says, you kept quiet, you're going to gain. You never lose from keeping quiet. You keep quiet, you gain. General rule. Okay? The Sam Derech again, the Rosh Shiva of Hebron, he comes and he says, one second. Here, Rachel actually did something good for herself. Because remember, Leah came and she tricked Rachel. Why did she trick Rachel? Because she got Yaakov Avinu. That was a trickery. Right? Okay, it's Lavana, but at the end of the day, Leah had to come and she had to actually be part of it. If it wasn't Leah, there was nobody doing it. So Leah was there and she was for it. She was happy, actually. She's gaining from this. Yeah? But he comes now and he says, Asta Rachel, she does actually something smart. So why now is she going to be zocha to something that it's better? She keep quiet, she's going to gain from it. So he says like this, he says, from here we learn ashkafa nifla, an incredible concept in ashkafa, in perspectives in life. Lichyot v'linhog b'sechel bari u'bilti meshucha b'chayei yom-yom. To live a life without shochad. To live a life without any type of bribery. So he says that's the shlemut of Adam. Lichlal lekalkel ma'asav v'drachav, without nigiyut, without nothing. So he comes and he says, Ulam lamrot kol zeh, lo natzta Rachel achal nigiyot haele. Right? She didn't come and she didn't change everything, but she went and she said, no, you're not going to divorce her. Right? You're not. Why? At the end of the day, you're not going to divorce her. So hanaga, right? But derech shikazu, right? When you're going to come, you're going to do such a thing without paying attention, right? Is going to be the most important. Okay? Now the midot. When we're talking about midot, one second. We're talking about now the midot. The midot are shorash hamaasim. What does that mean? When we speak about midot, remember the midot are the roots of all our actions. Yeah, so he comes and he says like this, Ve'ata, and now, al te'atzevu, right? Don't get angry. Vayishlacheni Elokim, lo atem shalakim Elokim. Do you realize what's going on over here? So he comes and he says like this, what does it mean now, Ve'ata al te'atzevu? Now, don't get upset. What does that mean? So he says like this, he says, Kishimatzu achshav et achiem Yosef b'mei amonehem, right? And now he's a king. Why shouldn't they actually be happy? Right? Why shouldn't the brothers actually be happy now? Right? So he comes and he says like this. He says, they went and they said, Ashemim anachnu. They were the ones that actually admitted in front of Yosef. Now they realize Yosef Hatzadik was right there. Yosef was the one, the entire time he was there. And they just said, Ashemim anachnu, we are the ones that are guilty because we saw our brother suffering and we didn't listen to him. So Pashtuta Katu says, they didn't actually confess on the actual sale. They only confessed that they didn't listen to his cries, but not on the sale. On the sale, they actually said 100%. So therefore, where's the charata? But rather we come and we say like this, Kol ha'peula na'asit al yedei adam, yesh la mekor u'meniya belibo v'kliyotav shel adam, misham mitrakmim kol ha'ma'asim kulam. He says like this, all the actions that a person does, everything comes from the heart, and everything's there. So he comes and he says like this. He says, the midah is the yesod, is the roots of everything. So he comes and he says, so all the actions, they go according to our midot. And therefore he comes and he says, he's not going to come and just look at the action. He wants to see what was the midah that brought the action. Right? And that's why it's so important, the concept of midah kenega midah, to look at the actions. Right? That's why he says the midot are worse than the actions. Because in action, you could do charata, right? You could do teshuvah, you got rid of it. But if you don't fix the midah, you're going to do it again. And you're going to do it again, and again, and again, and again. Why are you going to continue doing it? Because at the end of the day, you're going to continue going on doing it again and again. Because you didn't fix the it's like a sickness. A person has a sickness in the body, right? He could come and attack one of the cells. And he comes, but if he doesn't get rid of the source, it's going to come back again. And it's going to come back again and again. Because at the end of the day, the source is still there. Okay? The Gemara in Nedarim, Dafnun Amud Aleph, 58-1.
לא
Right?
הגענו לשם.
Learn shtika. We're in 66. What do you mean לא הגענו לשם?
ענית.
I said נדרים. אין תענית 66.
לא הגענו לשם.
And 50 in תענית.
למדנו תענית מקודם.
Yeah, it says over here like this. He says, למשלם תרתס רשנה, קראתי לבתי שמע מן אחורי ביתי דקאמר לאחד רשע לדביתו.
למדנו תענית.
Are you guys listening what happened? We were speaking about the story of Rabbi Akiva. Are you guys listening? We were listening to the story of Rabbi Akiva. And in the story of Rabbi Akiva, we just learned in Daf Yomi that what happened was he came back and he heard a Rasha saying to his wife that your father was right? When the Kabbas, he was right when he went that he took everything away from him, that he disinherited you. It was a Rasha, right? So he comes and he says, Shehu garua mincha. Right? So he comes and he says, why? Right? So he comes and he says, because Chada de la damilich. He's not like you. He's worse than you. Because he left you like an almanah, even in your lifetime. He left you like a widow, even in your lifetime. Okay? And the Ran went, he said, no, because you come from a very important family, and he doesn't. Right? That was the Gemara in Masechet Nedarim. The Gemara in Masechet Ketubot, right? Samech Bet Amud Bet says, Rabbi Akiva Raya de Ben Kalba Savua. Rabbi Akiva was actually the shepherd, right, of Kalba Savua. Okay, and then what happened was, right? What happened is that even though he was the shepherd of Kalba Savua, right, he saw that he had a daughter that was very, right, the daughter comes, right, that he was Tzenua Maleh. So she went and she said, if I get married to you, we'll go to the Bet Midrash. He went and he said, yes. So what happened? They got married. The father heard, and that's when he sent them away. So Shamelahu Saba, the Kama Lead Kama, right? Until when? What does that mean? So then here it says, right, you're going until when are you going to come and you're going to leave him an almanah? So she went and she said, if he's going to listen to me, it will be another 12 years. So now, did you realize the difference? In our Gemara in Nedarim, it says it was a Rasha that said it to the wife of Rabbi Akiva. What was the wife of Rabbi Akiva's name? Rachel. Very good. Right?
The first and the second, both.
Now the question though is, why over here does it say Amale Shamelehu Saba Tekaman? It was Saba. Now usually, by the way, when it says Saba, usually many times that could even be Eliyahu Navi, right? What's Saba? Saba is like an elderly person. So I don't understand. It was a Rasha that went and he told it to the wife, or was it an elderly person? What's going on here? Yeah. So he comes and he says like this. He says, Al derech zeh, right? Yitachen levayer diuk nifla. He says, I want to come and I want to make a beautiful diuk, which is mefurash in the Shas and Bavli. The Gemara Nedarim brings down and it says Chad Rasha. But then the Gemara in Ketuvot says, Hausaba. What's going on now? Was it a Rasha or was it an elderly person? Explain. It's two Gemarot, the exact same Gemara. One's in Ketuvot, one's in Nedarim. The same story. What's going on? So he comes and he says, "Vadvarim nefalim, kama gadol vekitzuni haya shoni ben hashkafat shte sugyot haGemara shesupar b'hem otam maseh." Look at the difference between the two different Gemarot. In Masechet Nedarim, the sugya is talking about the person that told the daughter of Kalba Savua, "Shapir aval lachavuch." Your father did something good. Why? He went and he took you away from your property, so therefore he's called a Rasha. Why? Because everything came from Rishut, everything came from wickedness. And therefore it came to Kanter, it came to go against Rachel. So therefore that's why he was called a Rasha. He says, the Gemara Masechet Ketubot, he's calling him Usaba. Why? It's a Torah of Kavod for Tanaim and Muraim. V'ra'ata bidvarav, ad kama kamedaberet al menot chayim, divrei emet kenim anovim. It came from the heart. Sheratzah l'shachnei et Rachel lachdol, right? Mishivtal menot chayim. He didn't want her to be an almanah her entire life. The first one was in the negative. Your father was correct in what he did. That he went and he actually took away, he disinherited you. He was right. Says the Gemara, he's a Rasha. Why? It comes from negative. The case in Gemara and Ketubot, it came from the positive. He didn't want her to be an almanah for the rest of her life. So he comes to her and he says, yeah, but why are you going to be an almanah? He didn't start saying what your father did was correct and that he should have done it again. No. I'm watching for you. I'm looking out for you. That's how sabra. That's a good person. That's not a rasha. It's a good person. Look at the beauty of the difference. This is the Rosh Yeshiva of Hebron that comes and he says this. So says Rav Chaim Friedlander. Rav Chaim Friedlander, we have the sefer over there, right? The Siftei Chaim. The Siftei Chaim comes and he says, he's explaining Mesilat Yesharim. And in Mesilat Yesharim, he comes and he says, like this, right? Od mi mafsidei azrizut, hu rov hapachad v'gedol u'munah min hazman v'tolotav. So he's going to explain. We have to understand the yesod of everything that's going on. The sibot hametiyut shebiglalam pal, meaning like this. We always have to look at what's behind the action, not the action. Behind the action. Because many times it's subconscious. Only when you come deep. Many times it can happen that you thought that it was because of one thing. It was a completely different reason. Sometimes the ma'asim are b'diavad after the ma'aseh. Adam matztikotam. He'll come and say, no, he's going to justify it because of this or because of... Why? Because it's karov latzmo. He's close to himself, so he's got interests involved. And therefore he's going to come and he's going to try to answer up in many different ways. For example, listen to this example. Siper rofe mumche leipnoza. He comes and he says like this. There's a doctor, right? That he's an expert, right? Right? He says like this. שהפנת אדם ויכניס לתורתו שמחר בשעה מסוימת יקום מקומו, right? He's an expert in hypnosis. How do you say there's a word in English? Hypnosis, right? So he comes and he says like this. He went and he put it inside of the human being that tomorrow morning, right, he's going to get up and he's going to want to open up a window, right? And that's exactly what he did. And when they asked him, why are you opening up the window? Right? He said, it's very hot and he's boiling. Right? So now he gave a reason. Why did he do that? Now he himself didn't know that the real reason was because in his subconscious, right, he was hypnotized, right, in order to what? To open up the window. So now when you ask him, why are you opening up the window? It's boiling hot in here. The guy's looking at him. What? But he doesn't even realize that it's because of the previous action that happened before. So he comes and he says, so he's not going to just stop answer, why are you opening the window? I don't know. He has to find the reason for it. But really, Be'emet, there was a reason that preempted it. So therefore, he comes and he says the same thing what happens. So that's why the Leket Sichot Musar, right? Rav Yitzchak Isaac Sar, he comes and he says like this. He says, we see from here the greatness, right, of the chesed and everything, of the pgima, and even a small little tiny action. That you see from here that any single time when a person is going to come and they're going to do an action, everything is going to be taken into account, even the smallest action in the world. And that's why he comes and he says it's so important to fix our midot. And that's why Sefer Bereshit is called Sefer HaYashar. Why Sefer HaYashar? All Bereshit is Musar. Why is it all Musar? Right? Why? So we fix our midot. Right? Sometimes people come and say, what do you want midot? You want chidushim. Yeah, chidushim. You're going to know a little bit more. You could have a title or whatever certificate, right? But you're nothing. And you're worse than an animal. Because if we don't fix ourselves, we're animals. At the end of the day, Adam afar min adama. He's afar. He's dirt. He's nothing. If we fix ourselves, we try to become human beings. If we don't fix ourselves, nothing. So what does it help now? A chidush here, a chidush there. But aleph bet, midot. Where are we going? And that's why it's so important, right? But that's why it's so important for us just to understand the entire concept that everything that we're doing is to pay attention to our midot in order to fix all our actions. Yosef Hatzadik, you see how every single step was calculated to show all our midot. So, I hope that we're just able to actually come and actually, internalize this.